All right, the time is 6:36 p.m., January 8th, 2025. First of all, I did not poison myself up to 12 times a day. Second of all, I want to know who exactly did it and exactly what it was, because I'm convinced it was a bioweapon. I got myself convinced of a lot of stuff. It's fine. Let me go ahead and think what I like, but I want definitive answers to what made me so fucking sick in here. And I can't right now in this this testimony that I am reporting right now. I cannot recap and say again anything that I have witnessed in here. So that gives some people some information about how caliente it is in the city and at this complex, which is 6 blocks from the president's office. Okay, I cannot talk about anything going on here. Same thing as what I said earlier. Okay, but I certainly didn't poison myself. And I certainly won't forget anything. And I'm certainly not associated or affiliated with any Muslim terror groups, and specifically not Al Qaeda. I remember in 2017, I started hitting Al Qaeda, hitting Al Qaeda. And I couldn't say what terror group I was after. I could not talk about Al Qaeda until, gosh, when I was in Chicago, right? That was almost 2 years later, a good year and a half. I could finally call it out what terror group I kept hitting and knowing what I was doing when I was doing it. What Muslim terror group I kept saying on the internet. I kept saying unnamed Muslim terror group. I kept saying unnamed. I couldn't name it. I kept explaining this to someone who was reading it at the time. I can't say what Muslim terror group, but these Al Qaeda guys knew it. And I used to talk about Al Qaeda before I left to go to England, but I couldn't really go specifically. So I'm correct in what I'm telling the public about Al Qaeda. This is a very, very dangerous terror group. It's one of the worst in the world. Muslim fanatic, religiously driven terrorists, okay? They're nothing to laugh at. Every one of them needs to be removed from the planet. They deserve what they get for radicalizing people around the world and making them chase around women and children, all right? Muhammad did not preach that. The Quran is very old Arabic. It's like this ancient form of Arabic, and it's really misquoted and very misunderstood. The Muslim religion is rather peaceful. It's your human beings on your planet who tore it to shreds. They've done the same thing on historical fact with Christianity. There's been terrible historical atrocities done around the world in the name of Christianity, okay? So religion, when the humans get their hands on it, can be a terrible thing for other people being persecuted by those religious people, carrying out violence on them in the name of their God, Allah, or Christian God, Jehovah. Okay, everybody knows this history on our planet. But as far as Al Qaeda goes, I was specifically calling them out and going after them. I never thought in my life that these Al Qaeda people would put out an ad on Craigslist and kept putting it out and putting it out and putting it out until I responded, and then trick me to move in here and then think, oh, it'll work. We'll just take her out in the house. We've got all the cops and fads. Now these Al Qaeda guys who are serious terrorists, they've got the Clintons, they've got all these politicians sucking their cock. So they really thought they had me done in. Well, it was incorrect. I agree. But did they stop? No, then these Al Qaeda guys kept poisoning me. That's who I think it was. It was ISIS, Al Qaeda type individuals, also a gang of white neo-Nazis. I allege it's these Proud Boy creeps. They let all these weird domestic American terrorists come on in and do this. I witnessed it with my eyes. Proud Boy creeps and all these cops for Trump, all these fire fucking department creeps for Trump. They just radicalized the white people and the whatever you want to get your hands on in a demographic, ethnic demographic. They would radicalize the Hispanic people. Everybody's in the cartel. We're going to take over with coke lords. No, I witnessed it all here, man. They just kept radicalizing every last lunatic they could, and they brought him to fucking S Street. And then what did they get? Now that down there at the White House, it's a fiasco here, and they're pretending to all of you that they're still sending faxes and sending emails, and it's a typical day at the office. What do we want to get for lunch? Everybody put your lunch order in. It is not a typical day at the office, and nobody in their right mind does anything to cause that to happen down the street from their workplace. That is this here, what I'm talking about. This fiasco that's happening here on S Street is a fiasco, but I'm forbidden from talking about it. I'm very sorry to anybody who is listening to this. I have been forbidden from talking about this place for multiple days. A fiasco. Unforgettable fiasco. Nobody's sending faxes. That's malarkey. Okay, I can't talk about it. But as far as Al-Qaeda goes, Al-Qaeda, I am not an Al-Qaeda member. That's a real low blow, Joe Biden. After all the poison and all the tear, I can hardly speak English. And now you want to say I am a radicalized, religiously driven Al-Qaeda terrorist? This is not funny to me. And Trump, with all your fire department maniacs, aren't you the ones that I am pretty certain have poisoned me a lot of times? Now I'm a Muslim, religiously driven Al-Qaeda terrorist? Yeah, that's like saying I was some sort of seasoned escort. Like, I have no idea about that. I've learned a lot about terrorists, yes, while I was here for 5 years, but the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. I learned that here, big time. There's a lot it takes, when I say that this terrorist ISIS complex located on S Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., on the corner of 15th and on the corner of 16th that runs the entire block of S Street Northwest. When I say that this terrorist compound brought the best counter-terrorist agents in the world here, I meant what I said. You can spend 5 years like I did and become rather knowledgeable in counterterrorism. But yet, the more you learn, the more you realize, whoa, I better be checking with someone else here of what to do, because this is very serious what's happening here. And I'm certainly not directing this. Like, when I say I'm directing this street is not my operation. There's no way I'm directing this. I'm not an Al-Qaeda terrorist directing this, the mastermind, Al-Qaeda mastermind, and I'm certainly not one of the good military counter-terrorist agents directing anything here. This is their shop. This is those guys, the good guys. That's their calls. They make them, not me. There's no way I could. And the more I sit in here, the more I know that. The more I really, really know that. I have the most respect that a person could possibly have for the counter-terrorist agents who are good guys, who saved my life in here. And for these professional military men and women to hear that Joe Biden and Donald Trump with his fire department and police department and federal agents want to say, I'm an Al-Qaeda freaking religiously driven terrorist, that's like saying I'm one of the most dangerous terrorists on the planet. Al-Qaeda are one of the terror groups that is considered to be one of the most dangerous and organized. And to say I'm the mastermind of that it's not funny. It's actually not funny. Okay, it's just any reason they can to keep coming back with all their police to the same motherfucking ISIS complex. But this time they want to drag Al Qaeda into it. So ask the top heads in the good military why Al Qaeda is such a big deal. So I'll put Al Qaeda into this letter header on the very finished and very dried up and very washed up YouTube, the great past in our history, over and done YouTube. Okay, goodbye.